One of my favorite actresses on stage right now is this girl right here, Tina Binko. It's true, you really are. Now, tell us who you play in this show.
I play a woman named Jillian, and she is a genetic anthropologist, and she is in search of the truth, which she considers the truth. And she, in the course of the play, is very much learning about identity and truth and how far she will go in the pursuit of research, advancement in science, and I think what she learns throughout the course of the play is uh, so mirrors what we're dealing with right now, which is about identity. And can you alter what is already there? Your DNA, your genetic makeup, is that who you are? Or can you decide who you are? And do you have a tribe? And who is that tribe? And what is that tribe?
It seems that this year a lot of the plays are about identity, at the table, at here. In this play, in a lot of the plays that I'm seeing, it's that we've put ourselves in boxes, that we've labeled ourselves and we've put ourselves in boxes. Does this play answer that question for the first time?
I think this play explodes that question, and I think that you would be hard-pressed as an audience member to not be confronted with these questions. And I think what Deb does so beautifully is that she's giving you so much science packaged in a play with great wit and heart and humanity, but you really are learning. I mean, we as a cast are amazed at what we're learning and amazed at, I mean, we're going to go do the equity blood drive. You know, you forget, in order to have these scientific breakthroughs, you need people to volunteer. You need people to stand up and get involved in science. And I think what the Sloan Foundation does in combining art and science is so important. And I think the audience will have to contemplate who you are, your DNA, your family history, your whole belief system in terms of if your particular belief may stand in the way of a scientific breakthrough. Where do you fall on that side of the argument? You know, it's a very interesting question in terms of belief systems, truth. What is truth? Faith, science, and the determination of this character. You know, you need these mavericks to break through in all fields of research. You know, so she comes on quite strong, but you think these are the people. These are the people that are out in front, you know, leading the march. So it's thrilling.
One of my favorite plays last year was at Signature, and it was called Appropriate. And the director of that was Liesl Tommy. She's also the director of this play. Liesl, tell us a little bit about the play and where you come from in directing it.
Well, this play is about a famous court case that the playwright Deb Laufer found when doing research. And it's a play essentially about a scientist and her relationship to a tribe that is a fairly isolated tribe. And the court case was about whether or not she was allowed to use their blood and the nature of consent. And it was a landmark case. It changed the way scientists work and the way that they interact with human studies in terms of what is consent. And it's also a play about faith and science, which to me is super exciting. And it's one of the things that attracted me to this story. I'm always looking for what I call 21st century pieces of art, which is things that I haven't seen before, things that feel contemporary, almost, you know, future present. And this story definitely feels really fresh to me because I think as a society we are evolving. Cultural sensitivity exists in a way that it hasn't existed before. So that is why cases like this, you know, appear. Practices in the field that have existed for decades are suddenly being questioned. So I'm always interested in things that capture the present moment and how we as human beings interact when we're asked to stop and think again about what we're taking for granted. We are in that moment where everyone has to stop and think about what has been the norm in terms of social interaction, in terms of race, in terms of class, in terms of sexuality. Everyone is having to examine what they thought was normal.
This year, I'm seeing a lot of plays about identity and that we've put ourselves in the box. Do you see this play helping to change that? Because I'm not seeing an answer to it, I'm seeing more questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I just said today to the cast, one of the things that you see over and over again in the theater, and it used to be, it was mostly in one-person shows, plays about identity, right? Remember, so many one-person shows were people examining identity. But what identity is evolving. It's becoming more complex, and people are being constantly challenged and constantly liberated to claim identity that they weren't able to claim before. And one of the things about this play that I found really fascinating, because I feel like there's a real disturbing dearth of stories about Native Americans and the Native American experience, is that Deb kind of really dives into that. And the question of identity around Native stories is also to do with how the rest of America deals with that identity and that part of their history. And so I just find it really compelling. It's intellectually and emotionally stimulating every day coming to work.
We are with Jesse Perez. Jesse, tell us a little bit about your role in the show.
Well, I play Ken, the social anthropologist, and I'm the one that brings Dr. Elliot on board to work with the tribe in the Grand Canyon. And I think she's the perfect match for the job. And, of course, things happen, and it turns out that I was wrong in a sense.
So you're the instigator of this whole play.
You could say that. You could say that, I think that Dr. Elliot is the perfect match for this, so therefore I bring her in. I mean, we know she's kind of a wild card, and she's being played by Tina, who's doing an amazing job. So all of a sudden, when we bring her on board and she's trying to rush the process for, whatever reason she's coming in with her objective, I end up being like, oh, did I pick the right person? And the question starts popping up as the play goes on. And I think it's up to the audience to decide whether her mission and what she's going after is, a good thing, or if she's trying to, attack religion and creation stories and people's beliefs and ideas that give people faith.
Now, in between science and faith, if you're finding something out scientifically, are you really going against somebody's faith?
Well, that's a tough question. I would say, it's interesting because, you put yourself in the character, and all of a sudden my character, Ken, he ends up becoming he feels like he's part of the tribe. It's his family. He even says it, this is my family. So in a way, he adopts their creation story, and him being a social anthropologist completely immerses himself with this tribe. So in a way, it becomes his faith. So when they start questioning, when science starts questioning the migration of this people and, the interbreeding, it affects him deeply. So, because it starts challenging his faith. So I would say that, to each his own. In a way, like, you shouldn't question what people believe. If that's what gets them through the day, then you have to, like, let them have their space in the world and let them believe what they do to get them ahead, in the world. It's tough.
Now, we've seen you a lot in TV. Can you tell us what you've done and what you're doing next in there?
Well, I did a lot of Law & Order back in the day when it was around in New York, which I loved. It was like the bread and butter of New York actors, so it would be great if it came back. But, right when I got out of school in 2000, I did The Job, I did Life on Mars, and, I did a bunch of these small guest roles in these TV things. But then I started getting taken away by the theater regionally and started working with some amazing directors in the theater world, Robert Woodruff, Mary Zimmerman. And so these people just started taking me all over the world with them. And I kind of followed. So it's been a while since I've been back in New York. It's nice to be here in the summer. And I feel like I'm going to be here for a long time now that I'm working here again. And it feels good to be behind a project that feels important.
You're not sweating to death in New York?
I am sweating to death, as you can tell. But, it's been nice lately. There's been some rain, and we're usually inside rehearsing in an air-conditioned room, so it's really nice. And I have air conditioning at home, so it's good.
And we are with Pun Bandhu. Pun, who do you play in this show?
Hi, Susan. Good to be here. I play Jillian's husband, Graham, in the show.
And what kind of journey does your character go through?
He is a children's book writer, and he's sort of the complete antithesis of Jillian, where she's all about the cold, hard facts. She's a scientist. I'm much more about the realm of imagination and positivity, and we fall in love. You see the characters fall in love in the course of the play, and there are a lot of really funny scenes actually with us, but we decide to get married. I want to have a child. Jillian is deathly afraid because she has done genetic testing that her mother died of Alzheimer's, and she's deathly afraid that she's going to get it. And in fact, then she finds out that there's definitely a chance that she's going to get it, and she's afraid that then her child is going to get it. But I'm all about, let's live in the present, Let's not worry about that. Things could be fine down the road. And so much of Graham sort of symbolizes faith, and but
So are you the heart of the show?
the heart of the show, in some ways, I think we all are the pivotal points of the show. And what's great about Debzo Loeffner's writing is that you can understand where each character is coming from so specifically, and everyone is well-intentioned, yet then they sort of collide. The journey that Graham goes through is very similar, mirrors the professional journey that Jillian is grappling with as well. Where she's dealing with a Native American tribe who is struggling with their identity, that genetic testing has revealed that they might not be from the Grand Canyon, and so the question there is whether they have a right to not know. It's a clash between science and belief, right? What do we choose to know? What do we not want to know? And similarly, on the personal level, Graham refuses to test Natalie for Alzheimer's. He does not want to know, whereas Jillian needs to know. And so that's what's wonderful about this play, is that it grapples with so many big ideas, yet at the same time it's also so deeply personal.
Now, you've done a lot of film and TV work.
I have, yeah.
And can we see you upcoming in anything right now?
Yeah, I just shot a movie that Jodie Foster directed, actually, called Money Monster, that stars George Clooney and Julie Roberts, and I play a news anchor in that who sort of gives information through the course of the movie.
And when does that open?
I believe it's scheduled for next fall of 2015 or 16 rather.